Hello, everybody. Welcome to our latest and greatest Facebook Live PCA Live update, our legislative year in review. Glenn and I are going to talk a little bit about the achievements of this past year and the victories of 2021, and kind of preview a little bit of what's to come and where things stand. I know we've been doing the full circuit of podcasts and interviews over the past few weeks, and trying to get as much content out there so that everyone's aware of where things stand. From a federal perspective, I think we've had some major victories on the tax front. In the Build Back Better agenda, the initial version had the astronomical tobacco tax equity increases, which were subsequently pulled out in the House of Representatives, and don't have much traction in the U.S. Senate. Where we expect to follow that into next year to ensure that those provisions aren't inserted into any other problematic legislation. Additionally, I think we had a pivotal, the first ever international policy summit at the most appropriate time, discussing those tax increases, the supply chain issues, employment, and the like, getting people even virtually in this COVID and pandemic environment to discuss important issues that transcend borders and boundaries. That has set us up for a good position for next year to hopefully be able to do this in person one day here in Washington, D.C. The federal front, we've conducted over 150 meetings, speaking with members of Congress and staff, working the political circuit. We did have two events in 2021, which were important gatherings to tell the story and the public awareness of premium cigars, to those key congressional staff segments. Overall, a good year. There were no major issues at the federal level that were able to sneak through. And we saw a lot of success, and I'm sure in industry alike, with manufacturers, retailers, and consumers had a relative, time period of peace where they were able to conduct business, introduce new products. And that was a result of the past lawsuits, as well as the legislative defense of the tax issue and the outreach made with the FDA. Going into 2021, we expect, a lot of change. We talked about this yesterday on Smoke and Tobacco, that we are going to have a new FDA commissioner that's going through a confirmation process, as well as a new CTP director. Mitch Zeller will be leaving the agency in April. April, coincidentally, is an important month. There's that time period, that window of time, you could see a rule on the issue of flavored cigars and menthol cigarettes released. You could also see some other major developments in the regulatory front as a result of the National Academies of Sciences releasing their report on the health effects and usage of premium cigars. So those are our top tier items that we achieved in 2021 and what we foresee at the federal level moving forward into 2022. Glenn, in a nutshell, what's going on in the states and where are we headed?
Well, thanks, Josh. And I want to highlight, first off, that nothing happens in a vacuum, especially with the way it's you, me, Ryan, and Patrick working in Greater Washington and basically trying to inject ourselves into every conceivable debate across the country. That's a lot of country to cover. And so we rely on the partnership with our retailers on Main Street America throughout the country to be effective in state capitals. And to highlight that, this year, the legislation died this year that would have allowed greater local control, local authority, local taxing power in Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, Oregon. Tax increases dying or not advancing in Maine and Massachusetts. legislation that would have allowed for nicotine testing to be allowed as a condition of employment dying in Kentucky, and not resurfacing in Indiana. Positive bills being born on cigar bars and tax caps in New York, and a live tax cap bill still there in New Jersey. So there's a lot to look forward to. But here it is. We're at the end of this calendar year, and it was not until the very end of this calendar year that we, as an industry, got the great news about the governor of Michigan and the governor of North Carolina signing tax cap measures. And again, I've said this several times. It proves how bipartisan cigar issues can be. We've got Republican legislatures and Democratic governors. We've got, in this case of North Carolina and Michigan, 2 Democratic governors signing tax cap bills that were adopted by their respective state legislatures. It proves that retailers are making the case for that type of benefit and protection. So we look forward to more of that coming up in the coming year. Those bills that died in the last year are a crystal ball precursor to what could resurface in 2022. Right now, in light of what I'm hearing nationwide, I'm hoping that once again we get through another period with no tax increases. The economy's booming. The economy's booming nationally, and most of the states are running some form of budget surplus. You're running budget surpluses, it makes it very difficult to make the message that you ought to raise taxes on absolutely anything or anybody, including tobacco and including premium handmade cigars. But we're going to keep a close eye, especially in our Rust Belt region of the country, where there seems to be consistent tax pressure on our industry. We're going to keep particular attention to that. Every now and then, these tax bills blossom in a place like Georgia, but we're going to be keeping a diligent eye on this nationwide, state to state, week in, week out, day in and day out. And we're going to be working with our retail partners on building new coalitions to fight for or against, depending on where those bills lie in the coming years. So I think it's going to be a good year. But we, like anything else in the tobacco sector, we have to remain diligent.
Absolutely. And it's good I think that's the most important fact. And one of the reasons why, folks should be a PCA member, be involved in the organization, is that this year, the collective industry and our allies and our partners and the association itself were able to, ensure that there were no legislative enactments of new taxes at both the federal and state level. And that's a statistic that I'm very proud of. And it isn't all, shiny roses out there, though. I mean, our retailers and manufacturers had to deal with shipping issues, employment issues, COVID restrictions. So, the cost of doing business is still, something that is concerned, but we're seeing it. Fortunately, it's not happening where government this go around this year in 2021 was the one taking and pillaging small businesses, so to speak.
Real quick, because I'll call this breaking news. We do want to announce that today, there's the Senate bill that would allow local governments to control smoking policy got through an initial hurdle committee earlier in the fall. Today, we now have House Bill 105 in the Florida legislature that, again, would allow for more stringent local government regulation of where you can and cannot enjoy a cigar in the state of Florida. So now we've got a two-front war, a House and a Senate bill, House Bill 105 that just came out today with sponsor Marie Woodson. So we'll be altering our cigaraction.org petition for all of our consumers in the state of Florida to let their voices be heard to both chambers of the Florida legislature in opposition to those bills. So that's just a piece of breaking news for the day.
And that's important that consumers, retailers, manufacturers in Florida, step up and take action on that alert. If you want to continue to enjoy cigars on, South Beach like I do, or in the great parks throughout that state, it is integral that you step up and write to your lawmakers opposing that action This is something that's a reoccurring fight that we've seen time and time again, and every year it seems to get a little bit more traction. So, Florida is a stronghold of the industry. We need to put our best foot forward and fight back against that. We wanted to keep this update very brief and give you kind of a sense of some of the achievements of this year and some things to look forward to into next year. Again, we hope that those of you that are consumers will encourage your brick and mortar retailers to renew their membership or join the PCA, so we can continue to work diligently to fight all of these different measures that are local, state, federal, some international, and in the legislative, regulatory, legal process. As Glenn mentioned, we're fighting on many different fronts, and we need the support of the industry for that. So we thank you in advance for your participation in all of that. We internally, just to give everyone a sense of one of the priorities that Glenn and I have, are transparency with the membership. We are in the midst of working on our 2022 strategy document and actually finalizing that today with Scott Pierce, and we'll be circulating to our board for input. And once that is approved and adopted, we will be releasing more information on that to our general membership and the public in February. So we have a lot of priorities for next year and for the years to come. This year in particular, we traditionally will do a bit of a year in review recapping, which is this segment. There will be an email going out in the next week or two about some of these achievements and what we were able to work on this year. But we are also this year, in addition to the strategy document, putting together a 5 to 10 year plan for government affairs for the association, which we'll have more details on, as I mentioned, in February. So a lot of exciting changes and positive buildup to meet the demands to protect the industry. Any final thoughts, Glenn?
No, just everybody, every consumer watching this broadcast, sign up at cigaraction.org. Put your name in there, put your zip code in there. It's our greatest tool to keep our consumer community and our retail community informed of the issues that are affecting them week in and week out during the state legislative season that'll kick off in just a matter of weeks. It's essential we build that database nationwide, both for our work in Washington, D.C. and in our state capitals. And so just everybody it's free. And it's our best means to reaching you. So please sign up.
Good stuff. Well, everybody, I think it's a Christmas miracle that Glenn and I are doing a podcast under 15 minutes if we don't get loquacious towards the end here. But we want to wish you all a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. We will be back with you with the legislative updates in mid-January. But we hope all of you get to enjoy some great fine cigars over the holiday season. Thank you all. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.